Good morning, everyone. This morning, we are continuing our symposium from yesterday. Our panel is from 9 to 10:30, and it'll be on where it spreads. Our responders will have a conversation from 10:30 to 11, and our final panel will include all responders and presenters who will brainstorm on solutions. I'd like Victoria to come in and go over some logistics for you today.
Morning, everyone. Today is much of what we did yesterday, but just to repeat for those of you who were unable to join yesterday, we'll have today's panel 3 and panel 4 as the brainstorming. Now, panel 3 will be substantive, presentations, and after which we will have a half-hour conversation with our responders. The point of that is to put into context some of the research that we're hearing with the people who are actually working with this and who have different points of contact, both with their professional experience and their personal experience. With that being said, we are going to try to make time for the Q&A. We have a Q&A button at the bottom, so please submit your questions there for either the presenters or the responders if you also want them to expound on something that they say. But we really hope that the chat is going to be a dynamic place. Share your questions in the Q&A, but for the chat, please put in your comments, reactions. This chat is going to be part of our transcript that we're going to go over later. And we see all of the feedback that you offer and perspectives that you share as part of this collaborative process. And so that's important. For panel 3, we want to engage with the information presented there. But today, what we have for panel 4 is what we're calling this brainstorming session. Because while the topic of this is, understanding the far right, we want to challenge it. And the brainstorming panel is going to be talking about what we do, what we can all do in our individual capacities professionally. And so while we have some questions that Laura and I have written and some feedback that we've gotten from the participants or the panelists and the responders as well. We really want this conversation to be driven by your interests and your questions. So please add, your thoughts there. Put in everything that you want to discuss over the Q&A, and we hope we have an hour and a half. So that will largely be steered by your interests and your questions there. After the symposium is over, we are going to, everyone, the panelists and the responders as well, are going to start working on chapters for an edited volume that we will be publishing based on the presentations you heard here. The presentations are largely a jumping off point for further research that will be done and perspectives that will be shared. The edited volume will be open access, so you can read it when it comes out, and we'll be following up and notifying all attendees when it's published and how to access it. At the end of today, we're also going to be sharing 2 surveys, both in the chat and over email. One is to gauge your interest in an idea Laura and I are developing. It's still very preliminary, and it will be refined based on your feedback, but essentially we're looking into forming some kind of group or coalition that aims to challenge, explore, understand far-right extremism. It's very early stage, but we see this serving both as a resource and a forum for connection. So we'll be submitting an interest form for you there in the chat, but it will also be followed up over email. And if you have any other substantive questions, please put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we look forward to having a good conversation today. Thanks.